where a rancher shouldn't be arbitrary whether he's inside or outside the rules. It should be one set of rules so he can make investment decisions that are correct, and he should have some degree of stability, long term.
Two more questions.
Mr. Secretary, you said back
Yes, ma'am.
You said back in 2014 that BLM shouldn't have tasers and the Park Service shouldn't be armed. So I've got to ask, standing here in Bunkerville today, do you still feel that way about arming the agencies? And also, do you have concerns about other uprisings, like the one that happened here?
As now in charge of BLM and Park Service, we should be the happy department. When you see a BLM truck, you should think land manager and not law enforcement. We should work with our local sheriffs. Our people are embedded in the communities, and it's important. We're the team that does the volunteer coaches and stuff like that. It's important that we're a part of the community, and when you see BLM, you should think about land manager and the happy guy, and if you see the lights go on, you should think about maybe he's looking for a lost hiker or something rather than getting a ticket on a county road. And so we're working on it. And that's to a degree a little change in culture. Our parks have enormous pressure on them, and quite frankly, there's a lot of public land out there that things are going on that they shouldn't. So I'm also sensitive of our people being out there, remote areas, where you have lawless people that are willing to engage law enforcement because they're a long ways away. So we have to make sure that our law enforcement officers too can defend themselves, protect themselves. So that's an issue that America has to deal with every day.
Will you give us your account of your conversations
one last question.
with?
Yeah.
Mrs.
No, Matt, she's got it.
Some land
We've
advocates have already mentioned that they'll be filing a lawsuit if there's any rescinding or reduction in size. Can you address that?
Yeah. Now, I got on my first day in office, I got sued 6 times, and I'm going to do the right thing regardless of threat of lawsuit. Monuments have been adjusted, I think, 18 times before, so I don't think there's too much question that a monument can be adjusted. Whether a monument can be rescinded or not, that is a question for the courts. But I'm going to do the right thing, and if you're an admirer of Teddy Roosevelt, something to remember. Teddy Roosevelt met John Muir, the naturalist. He hired Pinchot, the conservationist. And there's a difference. I'm an American conservationist. I think multiple use is a good policy where people should have access for hunting, fishing on our public lands. We have a lot of pressure on our public lands. Recreation is becoming a larger picture of it, and it will continue. But I want to make sure that America uses their lands because they belong to Americans. We should allow people to go out and recreate and again use their public lands to make sure that they're protected and preserved in perpetuity, to make sure your grandkids and my grandkids can go out and have the same experience. But our parks, we had 330 million visitors in our parks last year. So you look over the Grand Canyon, it's important to maintain the experience of our parks. And so when people find it too crowded, you know what they do? They go to the monuments. And when you designate a monument, the upswing is you get visitors. So if you're in the service industry, you're going to get an uptick in people visiting the monuments. If you're in law enforcement and you've got to run ambulances out there a lot of times, that's a problem too, because who pays for it? Because people have flat tires out there, so on my side, I got to make sure the infrastructure piece is there, and we make sure we don't end up destroying the very things that I'm charged to protect. So,
Thank you guys so much.
Mr. Secretary, what's your account of the conversations with Senators Murkowski and Sullivan?
I talk to Senator Murkowski and Senator Sullivan all the time.
A lot's been said about,
a lot's been said about a lot of things, but I talk to them all the time. We get along well.
It's been characterized as threats.
The moon has been characterized as other things too. So I think it's laughable.
Thank you guys.